This is Trophy Dark, Gift of the Sea, Part 2, Ring 3. The tide ebbs low, revealing secrets kept beneath the waves. The island is little more than a great barren rock, inhabited mostly by cackling seabirds and a priestess of Saint Exodius. You will hear snatches of old sea shanties on the wind, recalling tales of tragedy. Devine, as you are leaving the witch's hut, the storm having died down, it's still the same day. Tell me about a sea shanty you hear on the wind. What tales are these ghostly sea shanties already saying about the young girl who was sacrificed? And what do you recognize in your own story of them? That's a lot. But
The wind is not howling nearly as fiercely as it was just an hour ago. And all I can hear is it whistling through the wet leaves. And on the wind, I hear the young woman's name for the first time. But it's not a traditional shanty in the same way that there's narrative. It's just name after name after name. She was daughter of her mother's name, and it is a never-ending circle repeated of women whispering on the wind.
I can't recall the mother's name, but I know that Ahmed spent the night with her.
Orva.
Very good. Thank you. Yeah.
And I am reminded in these voices of how long that I have been wandering and repeating names of everyone I lost when our cult was scattered to the wind itself.
Thank you. You have Ruin 5. And that means you are entitled to do a reduction roll. And to do a reduction roll, you have to betray the group in some way, or betray the mission, or otherwise serve the needs of the Tide Queen. Doing the roll is automatically successful. Your ruin goes down automatically, but it does bear the risk that one of your companions might see you engaged in betrayal. And so I guess before you join them, is there something you'd like to do that would perhaps fit the bill?
I think I do have something. When I spent the night on the beach with the man with no name, he said that the witch on this island was a lover to the Queen of Tides. And so taking that information in, and how blessed I was with the attention of Saint Exodius and this coral of crabs, that Devine feels for the first time a sense of belonging spiritually that she has not in many, 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 many months, if not years. And so perhaps she might lean into this priestess for more wisdom and knowledge, and kind of maybe even suggest that they bed down while the storm is quite ferocious. And leaving a few hours later, Devine now thinks that maybe Saint Exodius might be able to be the way that she is able to reclaim that kind of spiritual faith. and is now going to be working against her companions as they try to loot and pillage.
Oh, I see. So what the betrayal, if it gets observed, what it might be is one of your companions seeing you give praise to Saint Exodius. I like that. That's very good. I put a link to a die roller in the chat if you want to go ahead and join that, Sarah.
Sure, I had my
And
physical dice, but let's do this.
yeah, this is actually a really neat little die roller. It handily improves upon the Discord bot. And then just go to reduction. And hit roll. Okay, you rolled a 3. That is less than your current ruin. Your ruin goes down and it goes unnoticed. We'll come back to your offerings to Saint Exodius in a moment, or at least how you're demonstrating your fealty to Saint Exodius. Torum and Ahmed, you would have to still take shelter from the storm briefly. Torum, tell me just a little bit about that shelter.
I think we said we found like a lee of a rock that protects from the wind, and I think we've set up a small fire with some driftwood and maybe pulled out the wine to take the edge off the rattled nerves.
Did you manage to get some sleep? You had a long night and a long morning.
I think Torum may have dipped into his own stash to keep himself awake for keeping watch.
Ahmed, did you manage to get a few minutes?
Not much. I've more been trying to parse out the proper ritual and symbols to make the connection with the sort of walrus many-tusked leviathan work properly. It didn't go right last time, and flustered by that, confused by why it didn't work. I thought I had it just right. So I've more stayed up kind of drawing symbols in the sand and trying to think back through like, all right, wait, what's the right word for many tusks in this language? Dang it.
I like it. It's good. Well, I'm curious, like, Ahmed, what do you hope that the creature will be able to do for you? Particularly as it relates to your drive.
Right, exactly. I'm still after this lost banner, and if there's a beast that knows whether it's beneath the waves here, it should be this elder tusked being. And my attempt to draw it forth to then ask it questions didn't go right. Like
I think when you finish completing the symbol, you have a vision. A vision of the Tide Queen. She's resting beneath the wave. It actually looks like the woven effigy, but alive. Its woven form is moving. It has a sinuousness, a flow that the rigid effigy didn't have. In the vision, she spreads her arms wide to embrace you, and fronds of seaweed and tangled netting array forth from her fingers, wrapping around you. You feel as if momentarily you have the sensation of drowning. Who of your companions, Torum or Devine, do you believe is going to drown you?
Second, looking at. Ben, did we ever establish what the Emerald Bridge was with your drive?
It is a place, a nice green savanna that he wants to build a home, but needs to pay the toll to enter.
All right. So in this vision, it's Torum seeking to drown me, and part of what's in the vision is seeing Torum at this beautiful green savanna, sort of establishing a what do you call it, a foothold, a place of residence, and the poking up out of the soil is the banner of the Lost Legion. Like it's somehow far inland where it shouldn't be. And me being pulled beneath the waves, Torum having it the whole time is kind of the nature of the vision, that he's the one who will drown me.
Make a ruin roll. You're still holding it together. Your ruin has not come
Yeah.
up yet. The two. Well, as you come to, then, how do you rationalize away this dream?
Oh, a sleepless night on a storm battered seashore. Like you start to dream of solid land and a place away from where you might just get swept away if you drift off and you're not paying attention, and the water just comes up and grabs your toes. I think I thought I was awake the whole night, and I dozed off and have awoken.
Well, to be clear, you all set out for the island in the morning, so it was actually like early in the morning. But yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So dozed off during the storm then, but kind of awoke with my feet almost embedded in sand and kelp that have kind of entangled them. And Torum's sitting over there, you know, a little glass of wine, a little piece of cheese, a little weather bedraggled maybe, but clearly he's not meaning me
Everyone
harm.
loves beach
Done it.
cheese. It's the best. Torum, I think while you're there sheltering from the storm, at some point you'll find your offering to the effigy, which was a knife, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
You'll find it, except it's changed. It's rusted and covered in barnacles as if it had been laying there for months, maybe even years. Make a ruin roll first. Actually, before you make the ruin roll, tell me, despite its rust and its barnacle encrustment and its apparent age, how do you know it's your knife?
Well, I've used it for many years as a surgical tool. It actually came from my time as an inquisitor, and it has the crest of the particular organization I was aligned with.
Hmm. What about the barnacles on your body?
They have spread up my left hand and are reaching the crook of my elbow, but I am carefully keeping my shirt sleeve pulled low so that Ahmed doesn't see.
Great. Go ahead and make a ruin roll now.
That's a 4. I'm safe.
What do you think as you see the knife?
Well, we've come to this island to reclaim the treasure that is washed ashore. It shouldn't surprise me that it's here, but the aging and the barnacles, I am beginning to think that this was a very bad idea.
Interesting. Meanwhile, Devine, what offerings or prayers or other acknowledgement do you give to Saint Exodius?
Well, the priestess taught me that Saint Exodius needs sacrifice, but it does not have to be the sacrifice of worthy young girls. But in fact, even a rat is enough to appease her in small ways. So I think that I'll be offering death to little crustaceans and other like animals as I encounter them, either crushing under my heel and then tossing into the waves, or otherwise going against most of her herbalist training, perhaps maybe even collecting shells and grinding them into a powder and all that. But for the most part, it will just be sacrifice after sacrifice for my good fortune.
Do you think Saint Exodius is the Tide Queen?
I think that Saint Exodius is the Tide Queen, but the Tide Queen is the title that these hapless villagers have been sacrificing to. And over the years, it has been muddied into it needs to be just this thing, just this one thing is appropriate. But in fact, Saint Exodius, in her infinite void, her depths, her vastness, actually accepts all offerings that sink into the bottom of the sea.
You will see footsteps in the sand, 2 pairs, fairly fresh. You might be able to intuit that they are Torum's and Ahmed's. You might not, because you didn't see what happened to them, because you blinked away. But there's a chance it's them. You also see the walrus Leviathan heaving itself across the sand, moving with surprising nimbleness and quietness. Silence, as we say in the English language. Moving with surprising nimbleness and silence. Its body propelled, the bulk of its body almost suspended by a ring of tentacles around it that keep it moving along the sand, heading in the direction of the footsteps. Please make a ruin roll for seeing the Leviathan up close.
All right. I tie my current ruin with a 4.
Oh, I'm looking at 6. Are you looking at the right one?
Oh, yep, scrolling. Nope.
Your rune goes up.
Mhm.
Now the question is, because you're still entitled to do reduction rolls, the question is, guessing that maybe it's Torum and Ahmed or someone, do you warn them?
I'm approaching from behind this Leviathan that is using its many flippers and tentacles to move across the sand. I have to imagine that pattern is really fascinating. I don't think that I would shout. And I don't think that I would warn them, no.
Make a reduction roll. All right, a 3, your ruin goes back down, and we cut back over to Torm and Ahmed. Ahmed, you find a small bottle sticking out of the sand, or you see it wedged, like it got washed up some time ago and thrown up against a tree, and now it's wedged there in the sand. What do you do?
That was directed to me, yes.
To you, yeah.
Torum's with me, right?
Yeah, but you can probably go get the bottle without Torum noticing or caring if you wish.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of casually drift over that way. Maybe I make an excuse. I need to relieve myself. Pardon me a moment, and grab the bottle and see what's inside.
There is inside a scroll. Do you take it out?
Absolutely. Curiosity.
If you unfurl it, it's a letter addressed to you, Your name is actually written at the top. Ahmed. Roll ruin.
A 1. The dice are just too kind to me.
Very kind. Could be a coincidence, right? A wild coincidence. But it's warning you. It's warning you about Torum. It's confirming your dream. It's saying, do not trust your companion Torum. They will hold your head beneath the water when the tide is high.
Is there a
What do you
signature?
do?
Is
No.
there a signature on the letter?
No, but it's in your handwriting.
Excellent.
Make another ruin roll.
Finally, I'm rattled.
Well, so how does that make you feel, realizing that it's in your handwriting?
Right.
A message in a bottle to yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Unstable for sure. That sense of like, I thought I rested and relaxed. Could I have cast this away last night? No, the bottle looks like it's been here for weeks, even longer. Did this bottle drift here from the shipwreck where the nameless legion went down? Just seems, I don't know, faded in a way, but kind of beyond my current knowledge as a sorcerer of rituals and symbols.
Indeed. I owe you a condition.
Yep.
And let me read here. Oh, let me check lines and veils real quick, because this is a thing that is frequently lined or veiled. So let me make sure it's not this time. Nope, looks like we're good. Your canines fall out of your mouth into your hand, and you can feel new growth in the soft tissue of your gums, something rapidly pushing its way through, relatively speaking. Right now, you just feel the little nubs.
Man, if only I had a pocket mirror.
I saw your question, Devine, about do you need another condition? I could give you another condition, or I could make your current condition worse. And I'm going to say that your current condition, the crab coral, the crabs start to sing aloud the shanties on the wind. Very, very tiny little voices. Torum, Ahmed seems distracted by something, but you don't really have time to address it because you hear something moving on the sand toward you. You hear the shuffling. What do you do?
I'll turn to Ahmed while looking over my shoulder. If we can hear it, it's so large, it's not necessarily immediately upon us, but I will shout to Ahmed, did you summon it again?
Ooh, deliberately, no, but I'm kind of new at this.
Unsummon it.
Torum, on the great savannah of the Emerald Bridge, there are enormous animals. Enormous animals that are hunted for sport, by the residents of the Emerald Bridge or for food. But there are others who revere them and who do their best to not encroach upon them or their environment. If you were to make it to the Emerald Bridge, where would you fall on that?
He would do what it takes to build a life out there, and if that meant hunting, he would do that.
What would it take to save your life right here?
Well, technically, he doesn't have to outrun the creature. He just has to outrun Ahmed.
Oh, indeed, indeed. What is your ruin currently?
4.
Or not entitled to a reduction roll yet, but I like your thinking. You'll see the beast come over the hill, and Ahmed, you'll see it as well. Ahmed, does it look angry to you, or does it look expectant?
I'm noticing that it's missing a pair, like it has many tusks, but it's missing a pair of tusks. And I kind of look at the canines in my hand, like, oh dear. It expects something, but I do not understand what.
Torum. Well, both of you will ruin, please, as the creature comes over the sand.
Still okay.
I go okay here as well.
Torum, what are you going to do to escape?
Have we seen the bay that we are looking for yet?
It's a cove, no. But the island's not that big. So whenever the tide goes out, you should be able to find it.
Yeah, Torum is going to look at Ahmed and say, quickly, follow the coast. We'll find the cove. It likely won't be able to follow us.
Ahmed, you can feel the bony growth where your canines used to be forcing its way down. You are growing a pair of tusks. What do?
I think I'm gonna try and I'm gonna run, but as I'm running, try to do sort of a perversion of the ritual Leviathan to well, maybe, I don't know, to draw forth the creature from the deep is what it says, and I can see two possibilities here. One kind of benign, kind of a whatever. I'll describe what I'm going to do, and you tell me where it goes. I'm going to take my 2 fallen out canines. I'm going to first the letter I wrote to myself, fold it up, stash it in my sash, take off running. The 2 canines, jam them into that empty bottle. Put some bloody spit in there for good measure, because I'm assuming a little bit of blood came out with the eruption of these new tusks. And grab a little bit of beeswax, seal it shut, and kind of do a sort of a quick ritual gesture and fling it into the waves with a, fetch boy, fetch.
Oh, I see. You're going to try to get the thing to go after that.
That's that or
plan,
another
yeah.
thing comes in that's bigger.
Intriguing. I like it as a version of the Leviathan ritual. I think it's probably fine. Looks like a good plan. Let's see if it works. If it doesn't work, then maybe you have to run with Torum. Or that's the role that has to happen. But in any case, Ben and Sarah, what could go wrong?
it definitely does summon another creature.
Yeah, there's always a bigger fish, right?
Or
Yeah.
perhaps it was following Torum. Perhaps now with you casting this ritual again, it becomes obsessed with you.
Oh, interesting. I was thinking that maybe it just like cuts off your path and you have to deal with it some way. But in
Takes
any
my
case,
heat.
let's talk dice. You have rituals, so you got one light die there. Devil's bargains.
I feel like mine is also a devil's bargain. I think I might have been leaning into that. So I'll offer it again, that this creature is now following you through this island.
I'm gonna say that no matter what, you will not be leaving the Tide Queen's lair. Now that you've thrown some of your teeth into the ocean.
Yeah, I can't trump that.
I know you don't normally offer your own, but what if my hands and feet start to morph into flippers?
It could be, I mean, there's a condition that is that, so it could
Oh,
happen
gotcha.
theoretically.
All right. Let's go with the never leave the Tide Queen's lair, I think.
2 light, 1 dark. So if you go to the roller and just click on risk, you can just type in the number of light and dark.
Got a 4 dark. It's tied with the light, so that stops the rolling, right?
It does indeed, yeah. So you succeed, but there's a complication. I think the complication is just that well, I like it actually. I like your suggestion. The complication is that you start to notice that your fingers are fusing together. But otherwise, describe how you escape.
The beast, the Leviathan here, kind of catches that light glinting off of the spiraling bottle. It's it's attracted to things that glitter in the dark, and galumphs in its multi-flippered way after it. But when it gets to that bottle, it basically chomps down on it and shatters the bottle, and my canines drift up into its mandible, joining its tusks there. Kind of accidentally, on my end, accidentally bonding me to it in a way that was not what I had in mind at all. I'm running down the beach after Torum, but my legs go a little gummy. Like for a moment, the joints don't bend the way they're supposed to, and I kind of flop down and get back up off the sand, start running again. And that's when I noticed that the first joints are fused together across the hands.
I love it. Torum, your plan to follow the coast is probably wise if the goal is to find a cove that is revealed when the tide goes out. Devine, you're sort of coming in from a slightly different direction, but eventually 3 of you will converge. And I think I just want to have the scene of your reunification. Oh, boy.
Devine had been behind the creature, but then as this bottle goes flying, she's kind of cutting inland and then coming back out again to avoid parties associating her with the creature. And then just kind of parting the fauna onto the beach, and I see them.
I kind of
What a
wave.
relief.
You survived too, and then I see my hands and go, "Ooh, you survived too."
Thankfully, my spell gone awry led to a dry roof. Are you gentlemen okay?
Damp, but more or less.
Yeah, quite all right. Quite all right.
Well, that's wonderful news.
Have you seen the cove?
Where? Oh, go ahead.
Have you seen the cove? Have you found the cove?
I was just about to ask you the same thing. I got stuck inland, but presumably the cove is just around the next dune.
Then let's go. The sooner we find it, the sooner we leave.
Is Devine still being followed by the tiny crab chorus?
I think it's only something Devine's aware of,
So we don't see them?
not unless Devine points them out, I think.
It's just life on the beach, as far as you're concerned. They do tend like a really long train. They kind of like,
Like ducklings.
yes.
These crabs are
Well, you'll notice
everywhere.
that.
Yeah, these crabs are everywhere. I've never seen anything quite like that.
I don't think that they get much for visitors. They're curious. Torum, you don't look like you've been sleeping very well.
I'm fine.
Hmm.
Oh, whatever you do,
Well.
don't sleep with your mouth open here.
Good advice in general, Ahmed.
You must be a snorer. Well, shall we? I'm sure we could still make it before the end of the day. Perhaps we could then create a little fire and wait for the tide to go out.
Keep your eye open for driftwood we could use to mend a boat. We found a small boat near where we landed.
You walk along the beach for a time. At a certain point, you come upon a beached whale, its fins and tail tangled in seaweed. At another point, you are looking at a cliff, and there's an abandoned cottage on the cliff overlooking the sea. And you can't make out much detail, but you do see a single rocking chair on the steps of the cottage, rocking back and forth in the sea breeze. Low tide eventually reveals the entrance to a cove, a tall, narrow cleft in the rock. The water rises and falls gently, inviting easy passage for you to wade deeper. At low tide, it's never higher than your knees, or maybe as high as your waist in some places, but quite navigable. Do you go in?
Just a quick question: the cottage with the chair is kind of up higher.
It's up on a it's like up on a cliff. You see.
Is there a path to get up to that as well,
You
or is it
could
just sort of
if you wanted to. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to?
I am up for checking the cottage.
They may have supplies, a rope, or lanterns.
Yeah.
Devine is curious. And so I only want to wander into the first part, like that first 20 feet into the cove to see what I can see in the darkness.
So
And then
Devine's
I
going
would
in the
follow
cove.
them back up the hill, just like
Got it.
a
Yeah.
look and see. And
I will
then
tell you in the look in, you'll see that the cave walls are lined with brilliant starfish and bright shelled snails. And your chorus of crabs begins to sing a very like their equivalent of a very soaring, triumphant song.
The harmonies are finally
Yeah.
coming into the major chord.
Exactly. Yeah.
I will make note of this, and as I follow my companions up the hill, I'll be humming along.
Torum and Ahmed, I think you get there first because Devine was waylaid. It's easy enough to get up the cliff to get to the the ridge to where the little shack is at. You can see now that there's actually a corpse in the rocking chair, withered away, the bones encrusted in salt. What in the rocking chair, or what about the corpse in the rocking chair reminds you of Devine?
The hair, though salt encrusted, is the same color, the same length, and were it not so left to the elements, possibly the same style.
There's above the corpse, kind of hanging from the rafters of the porch, are all these dried herbs, at this point basically ruined by salt encrustation. But clearly they followed the herbalist profession as well.
Both of you make a ruin roll, please.
I creep up.
So do I.
I can't see Brian's yet. Let's see Torum's.
I thought I rolled a 5. Sorry, I missed the wrong thing. Sorry. Oh no, I don't go up.
Torum, are you at a 5 ruin now?
Yes.
You're now eligible for the reduction roll if you want to do something treacherous, but otherwise, what do you do? How do you feel?
Between my knife showing up and the Leviathan, and now this,
And your body covered in particles,
and
presumably.
that hard to forget. The stories I had heard about a witch on this island are beginning to feel very prescient, and but I'll still take the time to look for anything that can help us in the cove, because I want to get it done.
Devine, you are making your way up the hill when you feel someone grab you by the hand from behind. It's the priestess. She says, "No, that place is not for you."
I just thought to follow my companions.
No, you must never go there.
What happened there?
It's not a matter of what happened. It's a matter of what will happen.
Does Saint Exodius give you foresight into these events, or has it just always happened?
She says, it is not foresight. It is, well, the tides come in and the tides pull away endlessly, in and out, in and out. The cycle, in its ceaseless repetition, creates a sort of permanence. You're right. It's sort of always been there and been that way. And you must stay down here.
Devine trusts this woman, so we'll reach down to her feet and scoop up a handful of tiny crabs and set them on her shoulders. She walks back down the hill.
So Tormund and Ahmed, you are going into the shack.
Yes.
Yes.
You go inside the shack, and I would say it's empty. It has not been used for a long time. Not completely empty. There's a small bed, but any mattress that was on it has moldered away a long time ago. And there's a ash-filled cooking hearth. A few small decorations on the wall. Ahmed, on one wall, there's a pair of impressive walrus tusks hung like a trophy. Make a ruin roll.
Three. The dice just they want me to belong here in the kindest way
makes you-
possible.
How do you feel when you see the walrus tusks on the wall?
Oh, I kind of, gently stroke my own tusks in that way that people kind of stroke their mustaches.
Are they like visible now to where anybody can see them?
They're definitely poking out, I think.
Uh,
Yeah, it's the point where Torum probably is noticing that I've got a strange way of speaking. My voice is a little shifted. On occasion, if I laugh or smile or yawn, there's definitely some protrusions sticking out. I think I want to go use my lyre ritual here and communicate with the spirit in the rocking chair.
Oh, very interesting. What do you hope to accomplish?
I think I still don't, even though the ritual as written is contact a spirit who can answer a question only falsely. I don't know that I know the answers are false yet. Like, I've been using this to try and get closer to the Lost Banner, and might have gotten bad advice along the way in the past. I think that I'm getting, in my mind, sound advice. I want to try and talk to this being in the rocking chair and learn what do I want to learn? I want to learn how to navigate within the cove safely.
I like it. I don't need your roll. The corpse says nothing. It does not communicate with you. But you do hear a voice behind you. And if you turn, you will see an older woman who looks a lot like Devine, if Devine had about 30 years on her. How do you know that?
Ooh,
Or what makes you think that this is like an older version of Devine?
back when Devine disappeared from the boat, when we were doing that ritual, when she did her ritual, she grasped the gunwales of the boat and went to stand up. And that was when she disappeared, the modern Devine. This elderly spirit is grasping and standing up in the same way, but with a little more physical exertion. Sort of the same body language, if you will.
She says, "The island is filled with visitors today.
It is, and
Your friend is down the way. She decided not to come up.
Mm. Grandmother, I'm looking for your help.
I
There's
am not your
a cove
grandmother. I have no children. No
Can-
children who bore children.
Is there a?
I'm a
proper
priestess of Saint
term
Exodius.
Priestess. All right, priestess. There it is. Priestess.
Some
While
call
I'm
me
a
a
visitor
witch.
here, I am one of the people you can see, and I kind of reveal my tusks, my little webbed fingers. I'm one of the people, and I
You have the
seek.
blessing of the Tide Queen upon you.
Yes, I seek guidance on.
There is no Tide Queen, of course.
Oh,
Or is there?
if there were, what would appease the Tide Queen to allow one safe passage through?
What was your question you were asking that corpse there?
I understand the cove is dangerous here, and yet I seek a lost banner and believe that it is beneath the waves. I'm told it's dangerous, and I want to know how to pass safely through the cove.
You have nothing to worry about. The cove is a place of tranquility. It is a temple to Saint Exodius herself, a marvel of the natural world. It's the
often
holy
polite.
combined with the wild.
It's often polite to
It is a
arrive.
repository of her knowledge,
What gift
of her
would be
gifts, a reflection of her beauty.
Are terrestrial herbs
To even
appropriate?
suggest that there's danger is offensive.
It seems that the items from the sea she already has access to, so maybe something inland.
You have no need to worry about the cove. Go inside. Relish in her treasures and her light. And then get off my island.
I will do my best, priestess. I will do my best.
Torum, you can see out the window Ahmed having this conversation with this older woman that you can't make out what the conversation's about necessarily. You got a 5 ruin though. You're by yourself. If you're going to do some treachery, now would be a time to do it.
The bottle of wine is still in the pack that I am holding, and I'm going to take from my little toolkit another pouch of white powder and empty it into the wine.
What does that do?
Those who drink it will be find themselves quite relaxed.
Oh, I like it. That's good. Let's roll now to see if you can get away with people not detecting the poison or knowing that it's poison. Reduction.
That's 4.
Very good. Your ruin goes down. You have your tempered wine. Devine, the priestess sent you on your way, and then she herself actually did go up the hill and left you to it. Where do you go once she's done left you?
Back to the cove, of course.
Indeed. Torum and Ahmed, the witch, the priestess, she says, well, I bid you farewell. Don't be long. And she heads back down the hill.
I'm gonna go to this corpse in the rocking chair and just kind of gently touch its hand for a moment, because I was expecting a spirit rather than a physical being, and I'm kind of questioning, what did I just see? Was that you? And kind of tap the corpse.
It's quite real. It makes no reaction though.
Fair enough. It just seemed like the right thing for my response to be.
Torum, there's otherwise nothing in the hut.
A waste of time. Let's go before the tide rises.
Fair enough, I guess. I'm gonna stick my head back in and give one sort of parting glance to those tusks on the wall and kind of check my own status.
They're becoming quite pronounced.
Yeah, I'm questioning like at what point do they get so heavy that my neck muscles are strained and
Indeed. The cove. You can join Devine there shortly after she enters. It is, in fact, a cave, the walls of which are lined with brilliant starfish and bright-shelled snails. Beneath the water, which is quite shallow, are anemones of vibrant purple and green waving gently as iridescent fish flit among their fronds like tiny jewels. The majesty of the sea is on display here in miniature, but hinting at greater treasures waiting below the surface. Torum, while you're all waiting around in this beautiful place, which is well illuminated from the midday light coming in from overhead, because it's a cave, but it's open at the top. It's a cove. What treasure do you spot beneath the water before the others do?
I think I will, in fact, recognize it as a pendant with the sign of Darawan.
Very good. Do you show it to your companion who you know is seeking Darawan or to restore their cult?
Not yet, but
Make
I
a
will.
reduction roll.
Ooh. Uh, 4. So it's the same as what I have. You are muted.
I was just saying, I'm not seeing these rolls for some reason. Maybe I'm. Oh, let me click on that link that I sent you. I'm not seeing it.
I see you connected to the room now.
Yeah, I don't see anything in the room though. It's like it got wiped out or something. Oh well. What was your roll?
4.
What does it say on the die roller?
If this is less than your current ruin, your betrayal goes unnoticed and you decrease your ruin by 1.
Yeah, so your ruin goes down. But Devine, you see Torum pocketing a symbol of Darawan. What is the symbol?
Three interlocking circles around or in front of a tree.
I love it. You can decide how you react soon enough, but for now, so passes ring 3. Let's take a 5-minute break. Ring 4. The tide floods in, reclaiming its domain. You are moving through this admittedly beautiful cove. The glint of colorful shells and semi-precious stones at the bottom of the water, along with these fish. It's also apparent to you that a lot of time has passed, although it doesn't feel like it. Because now you can see the moon pouring in through the gaps in the cove ceiling, giving the whole space an otherworldly glow. At one point, Torum, you find a pair of boots, overgrown with barnacles, bound to a boulder with old rope. And the beauty of the place falls away. And you see a group of bloated corpses piled atop one another, as if they were struggling over a rotting wooden chest beneath them. Tiny fish and crabs nibble at their flesh. Everyone roll ruin, please.
Another 2. I'm steadfast.
You are indeed. But Devine and Torum, how'd you fare?
I rolled a 5. My ruin is increasing.
Indeed. Torum, how'd you do?
A 6, back to 4.
Each of you please describe how your condition's getting worse.
I move to scratch under the collar of my tabard and discover a barnacle just about at the line of my neck.
It's no longer just a tiny crab coral of singing crabs following me around. The fish seem to acknowledge my presence as I move through. Those tiny little schools of fish making illuminated, glittering paths behind me.
Very interesting indeed. This rotten chest is sort of up on a bit of rock, not fully submerged in the water. And there's a trio of bloated corpses, as I mentioned, piled atop it as if they were scrambling for it and then just died. Do any of you approach and investigate, or do you leave it be?
With my skill in symbols, is there anything that shows that approaching this chest is fatal? Like, is it a coincidence that the tide washed these bodies, or is it marked with like?
You can't tell. I would even go so far as to say that this looks like a tableau, like a ghoulish tableau created for you or someone else. Who knows?
All right, I've seen things like this before. Like if you don't want somebody in your stuff, you could put a lock on it or hide it, or you can try and scare people off, like propping up dead bodies and things. As a soldier, I've seen worse. So I'm gonna go over and with my flippery hands start trying to peel some corpses away to try and get into this chest.
One of the corpses slides down and rolls over in the water, rolls up. It is bloated, it is distended, and yet, Ahmed, it is undeniably you. How do you know?
Oh, is this me pre-tusks or current status?
I would say pre-tusks.
Okay. There's that scar I got in the duel. The one I had with my sister, and she took like a chunk out of my eyelid, and I'm kind of used to it now. It grosses people out a little bit to see that kind of extra sliver of white, but this corpse has that exact same mark running straight through the eyebrow.
Make a ruin roll.
A 2. I'm kind of glad I'm doing an online dice roll, because I'd start at this point to worry that people would think I was lying about.
You're a tower of stoicism and resolve. Doesn't mean you're not freaked out by it, though. How do you feel?
Well, I got this letter that I wrote myself tucked in my sash also. So there's that sort of that have I been here before? And is that the me who was here before? Is this corpse here because Torum did it in? And what I believe I am clearly mutating into something from the deep. Am I more like a vengeful spirit of the Leviathan made flesh who just believes that was once a man? And I kind of look over at Torum with my creepy eye scar and say, Torum, I haven't had a drop to drink in ages. Water everywhere in the ocean, but not a drop to drink. Do you have anything? My canteen's empty.
Yes, just go easy on it. It's all we have right now. And
You
he'll-
give him
he'll
the
hand over the
poisoned.
bottle. He'll just give him the whole satchel.
Ah, indeed.
All right, I'll take a swig from the what did you call it? Toxified wine, whatever it's called.
Yeah, make a reduction roll, Torum.
A 5.
Ahmed, you can tell almost right away as you quaff down the wine that it's been drugged. And maybe even the way Torum is looking at you expectantly confirms that Torum knows he's drugged you. What do?
With one of my feet are starting to turn a little too flippery for the sandals to remain on much more, but I give a nudge to the corpse that looks like me. I said, Torum, I'm assuming as an inquisitor that you're able to read.
Indeed.
Here's a letter that you might want to take a look at, and I'll hand you the letter and then go back to pulling off corpses.
So no response to the poisoning?
I'm assuming I'm about to get really sleepy. But I'm giving Torum a moment to look at the letter and respond to it before I make further accusations. Or
Torum, you read the letter. It's addressed to you, and it's written in your hand. And it says, do not go deeper into the cove. Make a ruin roll, please.
2.
How do you react?
He'll look at the letter, look at Ahmed, and just say, what are you playing at?
this has been your treachery the whole time, isn't it? That's me there. That was you did this to me.
Are you mad?
I'm not mad. I'm just tired. Help me with these corpses. They're heavy. I want to know what that is. Lean up
Ahmed.
against that wall. Rest.
Yeah, Ahmed, I think you will just slump against the rotten treasure chest, almost indistinguishable from the other corpses, and fall asleep. Meanwhile, Devine, you hear sloshing behind you. It is the priestess. She's submerged up to her chest, actually. But she's coming toward you. It's darker now. You can't quite see the beautiful jewel-like fish beneath the water anymore. The water at your waist and is murkier, barely illuminated by moonlight. And she says, the cove is already having its way with your traveling companions.
I don't know how either of them expected to ever leave this place.
She says, I expect none of you are going to leave this place.
I don't expect to leave this place. Saint
They call
Exodius
me
has
a
Saint
witch.
Exodius.
Why do you suppose people make up stories like that? Elderly women living on abandoned rocks. Why are we always witches?
So much of the world is
It's
steeped
because
in
they don't
fear.
understand, you see.
I agree.
And yet, what if there was some truth to it? What if I am a witch? What sorts
You-
of signs would you be looking for to confirm that I am a witch or not a witch?
You are no more a witch than I am.
Would you
I
be
reach out
concerned,
and
for
touch her.
example, that my skin is thin, transparent? If you look close enough, you can see the bone, the tendon. And then she takes your hand and pushes it down into the water, sliding across her bosom, down across her belly, down to where her genitals should be. But you feel something hard. A surface like a rock, something unyielding. I get to eat so infrequently, you see.
I have my hands upon her. And as I feel a slick, hard surface where any warm entrance should be, I slam my other hand against her shoulder and I cast my ritual rewind and compel her several moments into the past.
I'll give you that for free. She reels back to the moment when she was approaching you from behind, and you see that her left arm is a pincher, and her lower body is that of an enormous crab. And she slides into the water, submerged up to her chest, her one non-pincher arm out. So very hungry. What do you do?
I say, you cannot eat me, woman. My life and my death will serve a greater purpose. And I flee.
No, wait. I believe you may be right. Perhaps you could lure your companions to me. Let me make a meal of them, or at least the one that is still standing. And you can go about your business.
Yes, that is much more preferable.
Do you call Torum over?
Torum, this doesn't look quite right.
Then
I
leave
could
it
use-
be.
No, you should look at this medically. It does not look like, how could this creature exist?
I think he's helping Ahmed to sit in the water in such a way that he won't fall over and drown himself, and just shouts over his shoulder, "You have an herb for that, don't you?"
I don't think that, well, no, maybe Bane of Moreau. And then I start like mumbling to myself, hoping that he might still come this way.
She says, "Tell him I'm stuck. My foot is caught in a rock, and I need his big man strength to help wrench me free."
I'm going to circle back around her and come like around the corner to Torum. I think it's stuck. I think if we wrench it free, we might be able to follow it deeper in and know where this cove
I mean,
might
to
lead
Torum's
to.
eyes, it just looks like the old woman in the water.
Oh, that's
She's put her
I
pincher
forgot
arm
that the-
down.
yep.
Yeah.
the time rewind gave me
Yeah.
crab body. Okay, so then Torum, the woman I stayed with, it's the priestess. She's stuck. She has a rock.
Sir,
over
I'm
her
quite
foot.
stuck. I'm quite stuck, and I need to be wrenched free. If you
I
could just give me
tried.
a hand.
I tried pulling, but I need help.
Fine.
Make a reduction roll, Devine.
I rolled a 3.
Indeed. Do you leave this part of the cove and go deeper into the cave?
I absolutely do. I do.
Very well. You pass by Ahmed sleeping on the shelf rock among corpses. Meanwhile, Torum, the old woman with her one hand out of the water, she says, "Please just give me a tug."
He'll sigh, but fine. Hold fast. And he'll hold out his hand.
She takes your hand, and as you give her a tug, there's a lot more give than you expected because she lurches up out of the water. Her body is the upper half of it. Is fused with a large crab body. It has one regular pincher, but then another pincher that's her left arm. And she has a wild look in her eyes. Any resemblance she had to Devine melts away, and all that's left is just a twisted, grimacing, leering creature. What do you do?
Is this a creature or a monstrosity?
It's monstrosity. You cannot fight it. Yeah.
Then
Not to win. You can fight to escape, but
I'm going to attempt to compel it.
oh, very interesting. I like it. That's one of your rituals, I take it.
Yes.
Compel says force a creature to perform a non-lethal task. Okay, good, very good. I love it. Brian, Sarah, what could go wrong here?
Your voodoo is not as strong as hers.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just fail and she eviscerates you with her crab claws.
Oh, all right. I was going for a non-lethal thing. Yeah, maybe nothing better than that. I've got a devil's bargain though. When we're ready for that.
Let's talk about dice. Do you have a relevant skill?
I wonder if I couldn't use the knife to make a slash in my hand to use my blood to aid.
I like it. You've got one light die. What was that devil's bargain, Brian?
Even if you succeed at this, one of her crab pinchers takes off your non-barnacle arm.
Ooh, I like that. I like anything better than that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, do it. I can't think of anything better.
Do you light one dark? For light, complication is you are going to have to abandon Ahmed. If you don't want to abandon Ahmed, you can add a dark die and try again.
I mean, I've already poisoned him. Might as well.
You're going to abandon Ahmed. I love it.
Preoccupied anyway.
Indeed, indeed. She's going to get your arm, though. So this is a horrifying scene. Go ahead and describe it. Doing the magic as well.
When she starts to rise up and reveal all that she is, he's going to just take that knife out quickly and slash his palm. And as he learned from several of his patients over the years, he sprays the blood onto her while chanting in words that aren't quite language to compel her back. But he can tell she is resisting. And the pincer comes out and takes him just below the elbow. And he falls backward and somehow manages to keep the chant up before compelling it to leave this cove.
Compel works long enough for you to escape. Describe that, going down the same tunnel that Devine disappeared into.
In a kind of bloody, frothing mess as he scrambles through the water, he's trying to tie off the stump of his arm while moving and cursing Devine's name.
I love it.
We're
It's great.
right past Ahmed.
Ahmed, I'll come back to you in a bit, but for now, Devine, you experience this first because you're first in, but Torum, you eventually will. The walls of the cove become smoother, forming ridge-like stairs, or like the inside of a great shell spiraling downward. The entrance is below the water line, so it's dry as you're going down the stairs. The rock walls eventually start to appear as carefully arranged stones, hinting at the structure of an old sunken tower, as if you were walking down into a tower underneath the water. A soft glow emanates from below, illuminating the passage downward or upward. Up and down is starting to feel like entirely meaningless concepts. You get down into the passage where there's water again. And you see the green tide effigy swirling in a little eddy, along with loose branches, coins, various gifts. And then it goes down into the water. Devine, Torum, I don't think you see the effigy. Only Devine saw the effigy. But Devine, you know that the effigy is going down to the Tide Queen, who you believe to be Saint Exodius. And so passes ring 4. Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back and do ring 5. Ring 5. The tide takes what is due. Ahmed, you don't know how much time has passed when you wake up, but you find yourself your eyes peeking open just ever so briefly as you sort of come into lucidity. You're kind of going in and out, you know. And at one point you wake up briefly to see a seal poking its nose at you. And then you go back out again. At another point, you wake up and you see an octopus engaged in a death struggle with a large purple crab. But then you pass out again. And then when you wake up the third time, the time that you stay awake, you see the witch with her monstrous semi-crab body. Excuse me. Her eyes are actually pressed out of her skull on stalks, bobbing around as her pincher arm is going meticulously through the corpses, looking for something fresh to eat. She will be at you in due time. What do you do?
I want her to be nibbling currently on Torum's arm because I've got a great one-liner.
I mean, I'm sure she can probably get that arm. She's probably will have retrieved it, I'm sure.
That's whatever. It's laying nearby, partially chewed on, the rest of Torum missing, and I just say, I never trusted that guy anyway.
Indeed.
Assuming you're completely gone and devoured.
But she's moving through the corpses, turning them over, flipping them over. She's going to be to you in moments. What do you do?
All right. Is it feasible for me to open this chest before she gets me?
No, she's kind of like bearing down on top of the whole scene.
Damn it. All right. Is there a way for me to kind of roll into the water and swim away with my increasingly webby anatomy and
That's a risk roll.
Go deeper?
Yeah, it's a risk roll. Ben, Sarah, what could go wrong?
I mean, obviously the witch spots and catches you.
That's what I was thinking. You just become another item on the poo-poo platter.
It's worse than that. She actually identifies your flippers as somebody in transition, much like herself, and you will be conditioned to serve the Queen of Tides or Saint Exodius, whichever she picks.
Yeah, I have a my devil's bargain is a variation of that actually. I'm glad we're kind of thinking along the same lines.
Same team.
Indeed.
Checking
Let's
for
talk about
skill.
skills. Yeah.
Skill in walrus. Let's see. Skill in walrus. No.
No.
Dueling if it comes to it.
I don't think it's going to. You're trying to escape.
Right. I got no skills then, I guess.
Devil's bargain.
Unless it's alchemy. I'm transitioning.
That's a stretch.
Into walrus.
I will say this though, as a devil's bargain. No matter what, just to sort of further twist the knife on your previous devil's bargain, you will become the consort of something here in this cove.
That's pretty gross, yeah.
Any other devil's bargains?
By interacting and actually fighting for your survival and fleeing in time, you find that the time that has passed has accelerated your transformation into
Or you're like
either a
much more
walrus or
you're much more
yes.
walrus than you realize. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Mine was that she would find kinship in you.
Yeah, that's similar to what mine was, but I like yours. Yours is an interesting variation. This is your only chance at a light die, Ahmed.
Right, exactly. I'm already stranded on the Tide Queen's Isle here, but I may not know that yet. I like the idea of being more walrus than I know it. That just has both some comedy and horror that I think will play out well as I try to come back into the same room as the two of you. So
Yeah, I think that's great. One light die, dark die is automatic here. But before you roll, though, I want you to roll a ruin roll just for seeing the witch in the first place.
Oh, okay. The ruin is a 4. I am nonplussed still. Right? Wait, ruin is tied. Yeah.
I think it has to be higher. So if you tie
Okay.
it, you're fine.
All right. Risk roll. 1-1.
Scroll, yeah. 1-1.
5 dark. There we go.
Mm-hmm. Ruin goes up. I think the complication is you are a walrus. Like that's just it. You're a walrus. Exactly. Otherwise, if you're okay with that, if you want to retain some of your humanity, you need to add a dark die and try again. If you are
With the dark die's high, I'm stuck.
Oh, you're stuck. You are. Oh,
I'm stuck as a walrus.
You are indeed. Well, go ahead and describe your escape.
Oh, it is hard to say how much time has passed away because as I try to like subtly roll for the water, my clothing is just left behind, like tattered in a way that seems to show aeons of time. But splash in, give a good kickoff with all 4 flippers, and for a brief moment, kind of delight in my new senses, like my beard has extended and is trailing, touching these beautiful anemones, and I can sense where the fish are flying nearby. And I'm actually quite hungry, so I scarf up a couple of clams off the floor and crunch them, leaving a little trail of clammy debris. And fresh clam, raw clam's not normally to my taste, but I've kind of grown for a new liking for the flavor. And I glide forth, still kind of unaware of what I am.
Yeah. So let's go back to the bottom or this top of this tower where there is water, and you see the offerings, including the effigy, going down into the current or into a little tide pool, whirling down. Devine, do you hold your breath and go after them? What do you do?
I take pause. The last few hours of Devine's transportation and blinking and unwinding and rewinding, and now she has this saint kicking around in her head, and I think she would pause and consider her options before diving in.
If you wait long enough, Torm will be right behind you, holding a wound. Torm, how are you keeping your life fluids in your body right now?
I think he's taken he's left most of his medical kit behind, but he's taken a tourniquet and wound it above his elbow and tightened it as best he could with his teeth. And he
You
has
arrive
his
just as you see the effigy going down in the water. And now the two of you are together.
He's going to look at Devine while holding the knife and say, "We should have wiped you all out. Every last one."
Devine's body language seizes and becomes very almost crustacean, but it's jagged, and it's as if she is suddenly, the fury inside of her has exploded to the underside of her skin is hardening and is causing really severe movements. And she looks at Torum and says, "How could I have not recognized your kind? I have been too long in the world."
I agree. Too long indeed.
Devine spits seawater out of her mouth. And then, as fast as she can Naruto run towards the hole, will spring up and dive in.
Torum, are you going to try to stop her?
Yes. Yes.
Contest roll. What's at stake? It sounds like. Torum, are you trying to reach the hole first or just trying to stop Devine from making it there?
He's just trying to stop her.
Very well. The contest roll. I need to remind myself of the rules. Give me 1 second.
As is the way.
This is the way. It is the one of the, relatively speaking, the newer part of the game. So,
It's in the reference on the left.
oh, thank you. I should have known your character keeper would have it all sorted.
The character keeper skills are strong in this one.
Indeed. When treasure hunters act against each other, compete, or want to inflict harm on each other, we agree what's at stake. So I think what's at stake is whether Devine makes it down the hole or not, period. You each get 1 light die if your occupation or background gives you an advantage. You only get 1 light die, even if multiple skills would apply. So what do we think?
Could I use or somehow gain that light die using my ritual blink to move even faster beyond what he would expect?
Oh,
I would touch myself and move, or does it only have to be for my background or occupational skills?
I'll count it.
Just for the 1 light die, because perception and my remedies and disguises don't help me
I
here,
think
but I feel
combined with
like-
perception, it would help because you would realize his intentions, right?
Okay.
Which I think is
Okay.
also probably, that's useful. I think the blink is just a sort of fictional positioning, but
I
I
like
like
that.
it. So what do you think, Torum? Do you have a relevant skill?
He was an inquisitor.
Oh, that's true.
Hunting
Yeah,
down.
this is your whole thing. Yeah. Okay, good. Or was your whole thing. 1 light die for each mark of ruin you currently have. So Torum, you get 3 extra light dice, and Devine, you get 4 extra. You take 1 dark die if the contest is inherently dangerous. I think if you're going to use blink, it is Devine. Torum, I don't think it's necessarily inherently dangerous for you. And so the current stand is Torum has 4 light and Devine has 5 light and 1 dark. And then finally, as many additional dark dice as you are willing to risk. We're looking for 6s. Whoever gets the most 6s is the winner. However, every dark die that comes up a 1 increases your ruin by 1. So what do we think?
I think I'm set.
I am also set.
All right, let's get those rolls then. Go ahead and hit it.
Whoa.
Whoa, that's a lot of dark dice. Well,
This is Devine's purpose.
Devine wins with 3. Just for people watching the video, we had a grand total of
5 light, 21 dark.
21 dark. Torum, your ruin doesn't go up at all because you didn't get any 1s on your 6s or 1s on your darks, and you only had 2 dark dice risked. Devine absolutely wins, but also got 2 ruin going up. So you're lost as well, Devine. But describe how you get there.
It is a swift turn on the ball of her foot, and like a deer or some other forest creature, just takes off sprinting and leaps into the well in which she saw the effigy go. And in her mind, she's not even looking back at Torum, she's just getting to her destination. She is chanting a prayer to Saint Exodius with every footstep as it pounds into the stone. And when she dives in, it is her intent to sacrifice herself to Saint Exodius, with the intention of creating a fishing season so horrible and terrible, this island beset with storms, the like they have never seen, that they will never again sacrifice another woman in the Queen of Tides' name.
I like it. Let me tell you what you see. You're in a submerged chamber, swimming down. It's in the center of this chamber is a tall woman resting upon a nest of bones and the splintered timbers of ships. She is the queen of the depths in all her power. Her body undulates with the current, constantly forming and reforming in beautiful patterns of coral shells and fish scales. Her hair is bright seaweed of purple and green. Her eyes, luminous pearls. Spectral jellyfish circle her head, pulsating like small moons. She is attended by eels, sharks, and other hungry things of the deep. Monstrous writhing creatures with whip-like tentacles and distended toothy maws. She sees you swimming down, trying to reach her. She's beckoning you. And you're swimming down and down. But you are mortal. You can only hold your breath so long. And eventually your mouth opens as you take in the sea and float.
Once Devine makes eye contact with what she believes to be Saint Exodius, with the Queen of Tides, that is when her body slackens and she begins to breathe in the seawater.
Torum. Devine escaped. And you see a walrus splashing about in the water, approaching you in the waist-high water at the bottom of the stairs. What do you do?
He's going to sigh and just take a couple steps back from the stairs and just have a seat against the wall, just holding his knife in one hand and just watching, waiting.
Ahmed, you can see the treasures swirling down into the whirlpool. What do you do?
Oh, I'm looking for a banner. I don't quite remember why, but I know it's somewhere under the water here, and with my new senses, I know I can find it in a way that I wasn't able to before. And so, my little snout does that kind of flare of nostrils that walruses do, and whoop, down I go.
Torum, what do you do?
He's going to walk back to where he had left Ahmed, and he's going to try and get that chest.
You get back and there's no sign of the witch or Ahmed, but the chest is filled with silver. and Jules. Do you take it?
Yeah, I think he'll jab his knife into the top of the chest to keep it, and then with his hand just start dragging it toward the entrance.
And so passes ring 5. And so concludes Gift of the Sea. Well, not quite. Let's do epilogues. Epilogues. Think about your character's fate at any point in the future. Try not to implicate another character. And bearing in mind all the things you were bound to by the dice and devil's bargains. And whenever you're ready to epilogue, say so.
I have a small elude to the end of Davine's death, in which, as she is now finally faced with the Tide Queen, she is using her own ritual rewind to almost like snap her back to life, like defibrillators, as she can continue to commune.
You're just doing
with
it over and over again.
over and over
Yeah.
again until I lose consciousness.
That's dark, but I love it. Yeah, it's good.
For Ahmed here, the plunge down into the Tide Queen's lair, I snuffle about. I'm not finding this banner. I've kind of lost sight of why I need it, but I know I need to find it. And eventually I make my way back out to the shore, and inexplicably, even though I can swim quite well, every time I try to leave, the tide shoves me back to the island. I'm not able to break away from it. And thereafter, for decades even, sailors who pass by the island are sort of confronted by this walrus, bellowing inarticulately. I am trying to ask if they've seen the banner. They are completely unable to understand what I'm saying.
Also very dark. Torum.
I think we see the Emerald Bridge and a small newly built home. And as we move into the front door, we see Torum at his little desk. He's working on a prosthetic, and the sun sets, and beyond the window, we see silhouetted a mass of people in hoods, and the camera zooms in, and they're all wearing the pendant of Darawan.
Fabulous. That concludes Gift of the Sea. Let's do Stars and Wishes. I'll start today. I really love this. Is good. This is really, really good. It was a great story. It all held together so beautifully. It was dark, it was tragic, it was vivid, and it was ambiguous at times in a really enticing way. It almost felt like your characters were like in some kind of purgatory almost, but Torum managed to escape. And yeah, I really loved it. I thought it was great. There was so many good scenes, so many good moments.
I can hop in here. Sarah throwing 21 dark dice in a contest roll? That's amazing.
I mean, if you're wanting a certain result, there's especially at the end, go for it.
I knew how her story needed to finish, and so why not?
Yeah. And the ending of your character shutting down the sacrifice, it was just gorgeous, very poignant, obviously. Bravo for that. Also, you had typed in the chat gated savannah at one point, and my brain is still firing in the back on what that looks like. The gated savannah community. What else? Oh, Ben, you talked about you only need to outrun Ahmed. Was fabulous, and that bringing back the pendant of Darawan at the end to
It was a great touch. So good.
Yeah, you gave somebody else's drive. You pulled off your own drive and someone else's drive simultaneously, or consequentially, whatever. It was fabulous. And then Jason, the interrupting priestess. It was so well played out. I was trying not to laugh, but like I kept laughing.
This is a character I do sometimes. It's like character I occasionally play where they know everything and they ask questions, but they're totally rhetorical because they don't intend for you to answer, and so they just keep interrupting you.
Yeah,
You know,
it was really fun.
I actually typed that in the chat that the priestess was drunk because that was what the drunk sailor was doing to me previously. It's a good.
Oh, he
it's
was,
a
wasn't
good
he?
bit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's right. He was doing that.
The
Yeah.
other thing that I love that you did, and I wonder if this is written into the incursion or not, is when I handed that letter off to Torm and you switched it to being in Torm's handwriting.
That's in the incursion. Yeah.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
That was really neat.
I loved the priestess. Every time she showed up, everything she did was great. Also, Ahmed.
I actually, if I could just interject, I think the priestess and the old man were the same person. I've been thinking that the whole time, like that they are the same person. But so yeah.
Oh, it's great. I loved all of the ambiguity and the kind of dreamlike nature with the doppelgangers and the letter. I thought that Ahmed just embracing his walrusy ways was great. I really liked leaning in on that. I really liked the Leviathan that wasn't the kind of fishy Leviathan that we normally get. That was really cool. And Devine, 21 dark dice. I was not expecting that. I mean, it's really impressive that you only got 2 ruin out of that. You almost made it. And just going in with the last scene there with the auto defibrillation, good touch. This was great. I really enjoyed how it all wrapped up. It did feel really cohesive.
Yeah, that ending bit with Devine is so good because like just the idea that like you've stopped the ritual, like essentially you're keeping the Tide Queen in a loop, right? Which I think is like really wild. Like it's so good. It's very dark. Like it's a very like Black Mirror, Twilight Zone kind of ending, and I dig it. It was super, super cool. It was worth spending all those dark dice and getting 6 ruin to get that ending. But you can see how like it would be a different story though if you hadn't. Like if Torm had won, it would have been a really different ending, right? Which I think is cool about the game. So wishes. I mean, well, this context, I don't really know what wishes mean, except that I think it would have been interesting if you had all managed to get to the Tide Queen at the same time and to see like, because Ring 5 posits a conversation with the Tide Queen. I've run this incursion probably like 3 other times, and I've never had it be a conversation with the Tide Queen, because by the time the characters get there, it's always more of like it's a bit more like Midsommar, where we just see this like kind of big operatic, freaky, scary, mythical thing, but there's no like conversation going on. It's just like here she is, and now it's over, and that's great. That has a good feeling and a good vibe. But I would like to eventually talk to the Tide Queen someday. So,
all right, so stars for me, the incursion. I mean, just so good.
Yeah, Star to Gabriel, it's so good. Yeah, it's
I've been deliberately not reading the manuals or any of the incursions ahead of time because I kind of stumbled into playing Dark with you, Jason. I'm deliberately giving myself no spoilers because it's worth it. It really is.
Yeah, this one's so good. This was the runner-up in the contest that we held God, years ago now. But it was there were like 3 runners up, and this is one of them. And yeah, it's great. Really good one.
I found myself kind of falling into that like women empowerment with some toxic positivity. And so I really liked kind of burning too brightly, too quickly. I too would have liked to have talked to the Tide Queen, but the reason I chose 21 dark dice is it was the moment that this character. This was the best death I could give her, which was what I was aiming for from the beginning. So good. Also stars for encrustment, incrustation. I half expected encrustulated. Like, I love the way that we as a group kind of play with language, and all of that really feels like spontaneous, like trying to vibe. And I like that a lot. There's also a pre-tusk era I wrote down in my notes because Ahmed was asking whether the body had tusks or not, and then I wanted to come up with a global standard version of whatever pre-tusks were. And then Torum, you played Torum so, like, the brutal pragmatism that you bring to your characters is really fun to play against. And it would have been fun for us to have a little bit more interaction, but Devine just kind of went on her own side quest for this. But it was that and the poison wine, like being able to portray somebody in a room by yourself, also excellent.
A huge effect on the story, right? Like that. Like
Mhm.
I think what I really loved about this session, the whole series, but it felt very pronounced today, is like the way you all engaged with the various die rolls, reduction, contest, all that stuff. It affected the story. Like it had like a really, really big effect on the story. Like I feel like when Jesse wrote this game, like this is what he intended. Like it feels like this was Jesse's intention, and it's great. Yeah.
And then wishes just to play more Dark Incursions, because this is a good vibe right now, considering.
I've got more to get on the YouTube playlist. So I'm
coming.
trying to fill all these YouTube playlists. I want every single one. That's what I'm going for. I was gonna, well, we'll do this off camera, but we'll finish up stars and
Everyone.
wishes. Any other stars or wishes before we go?
I liked the way you kept throwing reduction rolls at us, like we weren't having to prompt them ourselves. That was,
I mean, if you were
that was
doing
really
something
good.
treacherous, it felt like it should happen, you know? Yeah. Yeah. Was there anything else that I had?
Oh, one last star.
Hmm.
When Ahmed was awaking, Jason, you naturally went into his consciousness fading in and out, like the tides.
Well, and that was the
thematically,
that's
right?
the incursion structure too, because the incursion has those moments, right, that are in
Mhm.
there. And I was like, well, how do I use the moments right now? Like, and so it felt like a good chance to use the moments. So essentially, each thing that Ahmed saw was a moment written into the
Mhm.
incursion, which was really fun.
Yeah, that was
So
really well played.
good, so good. All right, well, excellent.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. I do want to talk to you all a little bit after the recording stopped, though.